Hello everyone, my name is Andreas and I work as the project manager for Stayble Therapeutics, and we now look into something different than cancer. We look into chronic low back pain and our new approach, our new treatment towards chronic low back pain. If we just start with chronic low back pain, it's something that affects millions and millions of patients all over the world. It's considered as the World Health Organization as one of the major causes for disability in the Western world. So it's a huge problem that affects huge amounts of people. We are focusing on a subgroup, of course. It's always a subgroup, such a big difference in the different types of chronic low back pain. But we are focusing on chronic low back pain relating to the disc, to discogenic low back pain, or pain caused by changes in the disc. So here we have a disc. And you can see that you have the inner center of the disc that is consisting of a liquid, and you have a disc wall around it that protects the liquid to stay inside. But as the disc ages, you can get changes in the disc, or degenerative changes in the disc, that you actually get tears or fissures in the disc wall. This makes it possible for the inner fluid, consists of inflammatory substances, to leak out of the disc, irritating surrounding nerves and cause low back pain. And when I say leakage, it's not like it's going to be dripping out of the disc, but there is going to be a diffusion of the center. Especially when you move, you change the pressure of the disc and you force substances out. And if you wonder how many people are then affected by this, it's around 12 million patients in the US that suffer from chronic low back pain due to a leakage from the disc. It's a huge market, a huge problem, and with no really good solutions today. These 12 million patients must, in many cases, just take painkillers. They can go to the physiotherapy, but there is really nothing that helps them to actually treat the cause. If you eat painkillers, you will not stop it from leaking. It will just take away the pain-giving symptom. So you need some new approach to this. But today, the only opportunity you can have, if you have had pain for a really long time, it gets unbearable, you can do a spinal fusion. It is really complex, it's a really invasive, and in many cases questioned treatment. We've been talking to spinal surgeons, and they say around 60% of the patients receiving a fusion could actually have the outcome of becoming better. 14% will become worse, and 26% would have no difference, except that you have to go through 6 months of rehabilitation. Bear in mind that a spinal fusion means that you induce a fracture in your spine. And if anyone have had a broken leg or a broken arm, think about that, to have that in your spine. It's not that nice, I can imagine. So even though this is a very questioned and not that clinical good model, still around 200,000 spinal fusions are made in the States relating to this. And we just do a little bit of math. A spinal fusion is costing around 170,000 crowns in Sweden, but that's only the cost for the procedure. Nothing relating to the rehabilitation or any indirect cost. It's only the cost for the actual surgery. Posing Stayble's treatment would cost 25,000, and we can remove these into our treatment, meaning that we can actually save 29 billion Swedish crowns every year. So there is a huge opportunity for us to actually help a lot of patients, but also to save a lot of money. But now I've been talking very much about money and today's treatment. What is it that we actually are doing? What is this new revolutionary treatment? It actually is that we try to attack the actual cause of the problem. We have the leaking disc, we inject a substance into the disc that transfer it from being a liquid to become solid tissue. And by doing this, we remove, in a very simple way, the pain-causing component. if it's a solid tissue, it would not be possible for it to leak. And hence, we have no chronic low back pain. I think this is really cool that we can do this in such a simple way. And we actually tried it on pigs. So this is a healthy disc. You see the blue lines is the gel-like center. And we injected our substance, and after 1 week, already you can see the red lines that we have solid tissue. There is still a little bit of gel-like center, but we think that within 4 weeks, everything would be transformed into connective tissue. This actually means that we will be able to help the patients within 4 weeks. The patient goes to the doctor, we diagnose find the correct segment that they were supposed to fuse, we inject our substance into the disc, the patient can leave the same day, and then within 4 weeks, we've been taking away the pain-giving component. I think that is really amazing, that within such a short time, we will actually be able to remove the pain for the patient. And not to brag or something, but we think this is also very important. We are basing it on an existing drug. We are not doing a completely new pharmaceutical product. We are taking an existing drug that's been used in humans for a very long time and using it to achieve the effect that I saw before. This means that we can develop the product much quicker, at a lower cost, and with a much lower risk. So taking it from where we are today at the preclinical stage until clinical trials would be much faster and with much less risk. So to summarize this a bit, painful discs will be diagnosed with discography and regular spine diagnostics. The injection will be performed in outpatient ward by a spine surgeon or an radiologist. And the competition might be something that you are wondering about. If there is 12 million patients, there must be someone else who's trying to find this and to earn a lot of money, and of course there is. But the focus is on medical devices. You have to find new types of fusions, not a new type of fusion devices, maybe to give a little bit more of flexibility or in other ways. And then, of course, stem cells. We are in Gothenburg. Stem cells is a big thing, and there is research ongoing to try to regenerate the disc to make it healthy again. But that is on a very early stage. But that, of course, will be something that we need to keep an eye on. But at the moment, there is nothing in the pipeline of a simple way to treat this type of pain. So the team behind us, it's me with an engineering background from Chalmers School of Entrepreneurship. We have Kjell Olmaker, who is considered one of the best spinal researchers in the world. We have Matthias Minisch, who's been doing similar journeys for a while. We have Jan Tunnell, who spoke before in the board, who gives us an excellent input of knowledge from Big Pharma and how they handle their development. We're also working with Cornelia, who's helping us with doing a health economic analysis to actually see that it's beneficial to implement our treatment. And we look a little bit forward. We are currently in the preclinical development phase. We are working with setting the final composition of the product to define the exact excipients, and this we will aim to be finished by the end of the year to achieve a proof of concept in an animal model in the early 2015, push the project forward through toxicology studies to be able to initiate clinical trials in mid to late 2016. And to be able to do this, we need a capital injection into the project of around 5 million Swedish crowns. So as Jan was saying before, if anyone have a couple of millions, you can always talk to me afterwards, and we can find a good way of dealing with that. And if we look a little bit further after the clinical first phase, we see basically two different business models. We have the more traditional that we should develop until proof of concept in humans and then sell the project to a bigger actor. But we also think because we have this existing substance, we have quite a unique way of treating it with a large patient need. We're also thinking about working it with a co-development, to work together with a partner to co-develop the project until approval, and then keep the Scandinavian market for ourselves as a reference market, and then out-license the rest to our partner. But that is something that we will need to look more into later on. And just to summarize, why will we then succeed? What would make this treatment fly all the way into patients? It is that we have a verified technique. I would actually dare to say that, even though that it's just one animal model, I think it's so clear that we actually have something that have a great potential of working. We have a promising patent application. We have a team with experience and with the knowledge of taking this project all the way. We have currently been financed by Vinnova, who will help us to go from where we are today to a proof of concept in an animal model. But then we can't forget that we also are developing something with the potential of saving a lot of money for the healthcare system, with the potential for future investors to make a lot of money by investing in this project. But the most important, we have the possibility and the way of actually helping millions of patients with chronic low back pain to actually get pain-free. Thank you.
So we have a lot of free seats here up in front if you want to go in here. We have time for one question if you wave your hand over there.
Hello, nice talk. I just wonder, how does it affect the patient to have a solid center in the spinal cord instead of a fluid?
It affects, of course you're going to be a bit stiffer. If you have the spinal fusion, you will be 100% stiff. As a healthy person, you will be quite movable, and we will be somewhere in the middle. So that would be a little bit of problem, but bear in mind that if you have pain in your back, that would be the major cause of immovability. So by removing the pain, even though that the theoretical movement will be a bit lower, the field movement would be much higher for the patient.
Göran, we have a very last question by Lars here. I just take the opportunity to hand you over the coffee and tea.
Thank you very much.
Well, I have a question for you. Ruptures in the annulus fibrosus is a sign of a degenerative process in the disc. Mm-hmm. How do you save or secure that the herniation will not be the result, even if you inject in the nucleus pulposus?
We think that due to the process, we're going to be so quick that we actually will freeze, is not the correct word, but we will freeze the disc in its current position. And if there is a herniated disc, there is something that leaked for a while, that will not be a disc that we can treat. The geometry of the disc must be quite intact for our treatment to be able to be used. So you can't have a herniated disc, then it won't work.
But still you have a rupture, which means that the herniated disc can get out because it's leaking all the time, and that's what's happening in the beginning of the disc penetration.
Yeah, you can say that this is the step before a herniated disc that we are addressing. And if you would have been leaving these leaking discs for a while, then there would be a herniation. But by injecting them before they start to herniate, we will take away the leaking component, and they're also taking away the possibility for herniation.
Thank you and good luck.
Thank you very much, Andreas.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good luck.